Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Amy Frazier, and I'm the events coordinator for the Culpeper Chamber of Commerce. On behalf of the Chamber, I would like to welcome you to the 5th episode of our Women's List series. This is the 5th of 6 sessions where we will be featuring dynamic and influential women from the Culpeper community and focusing on how to coordinate your life so that you do not need to take a break from it for self-care. We've had some amazing sessions over the past few weeks, and we're excited to finish the series strong with our final 2 installments. We hope that you have the chance to join us for this final installment of this program next Thursday, June 25th at noon. But also all of the presentations are being recorded, and they'll be posted onto the Chamber YouTube account, webpage, and social media so that you're able to watch them at a later date. Share them with your friends and colleagues. I want to take a moment to thank today's event sponsor, Rappahannock Electric Cooperative, as well as all of the Women's List series sponsors, Novant Health UVA Health System Culpeper Medical Center, Wellspring Health Services, Culpeper Star Exponent, Thrivent, and Partners First Federal Credit Union. Thank you for making this event possible, and thank you all very much for being here. And without further ado, I'd like to pass it on to Sara Bywaters-Baldwin to talk to us more about the art of listening, how to discover what you need for self-care. Sara is the founder of Willow Circle Art, LLC. She is a native of Fauquier in Culpeper County and holds a Master of Divinity from Regent College, where she was awarded the Pastoral Care Award for her graduating class, and a 2-year postgraduate art therapy diploma at Vancouver Art Therapy Institute in British Columbia, Canada. With over 20 years of experience working with youth and a decade of helping women transition through life and spiritual questions, Sara has found creating expressive art as a vehicle for positive change within individuals, small groups, and communities. Creativity provokes flexibility, problem solving, and structure to hold things that matter to us, making room for fresh growth and collaborative experiences together. Sara uses her training in art therapy, expressive arts therapy, and spiritual counseling to help you listen to your beautiful inner voice that is waiting to be heard. If you have any questions or comments for Sara during her presentation, please type them into the Q&A box or the chat, and we will address them at the end. Sara?
Hi. All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today live. I am going to share my screen here with you. I'm having trouble hearing Amy. So Amy, if you need to tell me something, feel free to talk right into your phone, okay? All right. Well, I want to just say thank you so much for allowing me to be here with you guys today. I am the owner of Willow Circle Art, and today we're going to be talking about the art of listening and discovering what you need. It's just a real pleasure to be with you guys after listening to the last few weeks of all the different avenues of taking care of ourselves and learning more. I know you guys are coming out of the last 3 months just like I am. We have been adapting and adapting and adapting. It's exhausting, even for those of us that might be more attuned to adapting. You know, it takes a lot of creativity. It takes a lot of ability to know yourself. And so I want to tell you a little bit real quick just about myself and why I rely on the arts, why I rely on creativity. You may notice some people here in this beginning page. Lately, I have worked with different businesses using expressive arts, not fine studio art, but just using art as a way to express ourselves and what we're feeling inside. And over the last 20 years, I have worked with women at almost every stage of their life, which has been a wonderful experience. I mean, all the way up from elementary school to mothers that are finding themselves as single parents, women that have experienced a dual diagnosis, you know, and psychiatric groups where we're dealing with, you know, a mental health issue as well as an addiction issue. Grief has been a major part of my work through seminary and pastoral care. And art therapy has been the one thing for me that has really helped bring together just those questions that we have about how we heal, how we move through life, and all the different avenues that life throws at us. And especially as women, we go through a lot and our bodies change as we grow. And so what I have found over the last 20 years is that there are patterns within our expressive arts that allow us to engage with ourselves. And just recently we've done some vision boards. You see that here. I work with trees a lot. You're going to see some trees today. The mask project with SAFE is represented here as well. I use—
Hey, Sarah.
Yeah.
We cannot see your screen.
Oh, okay. Let me see.
Sorry, I didn't want to.
Oh, that's okay. All right, guys, let's try again. See, adapting. Here we are. Adapting. All right, now you guys get to see this beautiful thing that I have here. Let's try this. Oh, how about that? Here we go. Better? All right, now you guys get to see my beautiful artwork. Okay, all right, thank you, Amy. All right, so willow circle art, you saw that one, you heard that one. Gonna go on here, and for some reason it's not playing. I promise you guys I practiced all this. Let's see, let's try it again. Okay, there we go. All right, so now you can see all these beautiful faces, right? Okay. So once again, the masks from SAFE, vision boards, and these beautiful fun trees, I have used them in so many different ways. So we're gonna move along here. All right, now we're getting to the good stuff. All right, so on the left side, you're gonna see this beautiful tree image. I have added this to my website so that you guys can easily go to it and download it. So don't feel like you have to take pictures of it or anything like that. At the bottom of where my shop is, you can just add in your email and download it for free. So what I want you guys to do today is I want you to get a sense of what it's like to create a lens for self-care. We put on glasses all the time, whether it's a sunglass or it's, to correct our vision, especially now in the summer. And we have lots of different types of lenses. You can have rosy, you can have blue, you can have whatever you want. But do we have a lens for self-care? Do we have a way of looking at our lives? Do we have a way of looking within ourselves to figure out what we need, daily? Like right now, I'm adapting and I'm feeling like I'm nervous, but I'm noticing my body, right? I'm paying attention to what's going on inside, and that's going to help me to figure out how I adapt and how I learn. And I use things like trees often for this concept of embodiment. Sometimes it's really nice to have an image outside of ourselves that we can think about what it's like to work from the bottom up. And if you can see my cursor here, if I can get that to work. Now, all right, well, what I want you to do is I want you to look at the base of the tree, okay? That's where the roots are. And the roots feed everything else in the tree. So we have this concept of bottom up. What is feeding that tree that is going to help the tree in whatever season it's in? And what is going to bloom from that tree? And what is the fruit going to be? And we're going to keep tackling this idea throughout our time together today. We're going to talk about the empowerment that we feel in the role of the artist and how that helps us to reimagine, how that helps us to get to a place of rebirth, how that helps us to repair and restore the things of our day, the things of our week, the things of the pandemic, the things of that personal experience that we have. Each of us come to today with totally different experiences of life, and I think the Black Lives Matter movement is a huge part of that too. Each of us, we have different things that make up our lives, and our bodies are huge parts of that. So as we consider this idea of embodiment, I want you to be mindful of the fact that our bodies help us to get in touch with our feelings, and our feelings help us to get in touch with our thoughts. And all these things start to work together. As we think about honoring your body and my body and everyone that's here today, we're thinking about what self-compassion looks like. And I know this concept has come up over the last few weeks because self-care has taken on a different way of viewing life. You know, self-care sometimes is about doing our nails and that sort of thing, but self-compassion, you know, like what does it look like to care for myself like I care for other people? And all of you in the business world, as you serve and give to your families and to the people that are part of your businesses, you know, I know you're compassionate people. So now this is a time to kind of turn that back for yourself. And we're going to talk about this term interoception. You know, interoception in its basic form is noticing if I'm thirsty, you know, if I'm hungry, that sort of thing. But we're turning it more into sensing within our bodies, understanding, looking in, tuning in to what's really going on. And I want you to take away today that self-care is not passive. You know, self-care is something that we do make part of our everyday lives because of what we're getting out of it moment to moment, not just when we get to a place where we realize we need it. And with that comes feeling what we feel, you know, noticing it, owning it, recognizing it, letting it be part of who we are. And these two words, implicit and explicit. You guys know these words, but there is a part of us that has a lot going on that is nonverbal. And what we're moving towards is getting to a place where these things are explicit. They are verbal. They're things that we can now talk about with other people. They're not what we've kind of trained ourselves to think about and trained ourselves to say based on what we think other people want to hear, right? And with all of this comes this power of awareness. What we're doing now when we're thinking about our bodies and we're connecting our thoughts and our feelings, we're allowing our bodies to resensitize. You know, when you go through a period of life where you're kind of separating out what's going on and kind of numbing out to it, that's when you know you've kind of gotten really far down the line, right? But you're resensitizing. You're allowing yourself to feel what you feel, and your body is noticing you know, how your heart's feeling, how you're feeling with the temperature. All these things work together as we move and we go along with how we're moving and taking care. I have recently found this beautiful writer, Octavia Rahim, and I want you guys to look at this. This quote is so profound. When I rest, I can rise. I can meet even the shattered moments from a place of wholeness. Just let that sit with you for a minute. When I rest, I can rise. I can meet even the shattered moments from a place of wholeness. That's really profound. And if you look her up, you'll see that she incorporates the body in a lot of her work. So when we're thinking about this idea of resting, you know, type in the comments with Amy. She's going to tell me in a few minutes, how do you rest so that you can rise, to get back into life, to be fully alive, to be able to engage with what's around you? How do you rest? What do you guys do? Would love to know. And as we're talking about this, you know, we have to think about the healing practices that have been a part of the world for millennia. I have this wonderful woman that I love to read, Kathy Malchiotti. I studied with her a lot. I've seen her in person. And she is one of those wonderful psychologists, registered and everything, PhD, but she asks questions, right? She asks questions based on how to serve her population, how to serve herself as a practitioner first. And one of the things I love about her is that she started to talk to cultural anthropologists, and she wanted to know, how do people heal? You know, what do they do? What do they do as groups to find ways to rest so they can rise, get back to that work? How do they take care of themselves? And so what we're looking at here is this social and cultural repair. People for millennia have used movement, sound, storytelling, and silence for self-regulation and shared regulation, this kind of co-regulation that we have when we're around other people. And all of those things, you know, dancing, singing, being comforted by that silence, just being able to be with yourself, to be able to tune in and to tune into others, there is this beautiful thing happening within the body through the vibrations of singing, through this ability to kind of find deep focus in other ways, where our mind and our body are working together for healing practices. And there's so many beautiful illustrations of this. A lot of veterans that have come back from the war, people that have experienced a variety of traumas, they find Tai Chi and yoga and things like that really working for them. And we're going to get to that in a minute, because what we're thinking about for self-care is how do we repair and how do we restore? And what I'd like you to take away from this is this constant kind of reminder, and I have it in these R's. We get to reimagine, we get to repair, we find a way to rebirth, to become something new, to regenerate something new, and to find restoration. And I always tell people, no matter what we're doing, whether it's working with a little bit of visual arts, or maybe a song or a poem or something like that, you take this question, what if? If we can take a moment to stop in our lives and just say, what if? We get to see things from different perspectives. And so when you think back to the tree that we started with, what if this season was summer? What if this season were spring? What if there were water under the roots? You're asking these questions. You're giving yourself a chance to play with it and to move around it and to have a new perspective. And one of the greatest ways I like thinking about this is this basic concept of a tomb or a womb, right? In many ways, they're very similar, this dark kind of cavernous space. And sometimes we need to see that something in our life is kind of in a tomb. It's lived, it's done what it needs to do, it's done. And is it done for good, or is it something that's kind of resurrecting, taking on a new life? Or is it a womb, that dark cavernous space? Maybe there's a seed there that's growing, right? And so our creative thinking, our critical thinking, that flexibility really helps with our executive functioning, which is our day-to-day stuff. And I think a lot of us these days are really struggling with just going to the kitchen and forgetting why we went there, right? And so we notice stuff like that when our self-care and our tuning in is at a minimum. And so what I want you to do is kind of think about, what would it be like if I increase this in my life? So once again, it gives you the chance to narrate in a new way, to reframe. You are empowered to think about the outcomes, experience thoughts and feelings. You're choosing as you go along, and that is the best part of being an artist. Carolyn Myss says the soul always knows what to do to heal itself, but the challenge is to silence the mind, right? And we've been talking about this because sometimes we think we already know. We think we already know what people want to hear. We think we already know what's best for us. We think we already know the outcomes, and what's the point of even trying to create something, because I already know what's going to happen, right? We have to silence the mind. And so what I want you to think about, once again, with this tree and with this embodiment here, this is just a little canvas that I did after one of my own personal retreats. And it's this idea of the bottom up, right? We're not just dealing with our brain and trying to rework things. Our brain is so beautiful and complex, and it's developing new pathways. It's got this plasticity. We really honor ourselves when we know that we have the ability to grow. We just have to allow ourselves to kind of move into that. And so, what I want you to know is that your body has a lot to say. It's going to guide you to your feelings, to your thoughts. It's going to release your imagination and reignite your connectivity to yourself and to others. And so this is another question for you to type into Amy. How do you feel about your body? Maybe you just want to check in with that yourself. Is it a friend or is it a foe? Yeah, there are definitely times in my life where that is a real question, because you change. You're, as a young girl, all the way to the stage and age that you are now, your body has grown and changed with you. And sometimes it takes a little while to catch up to those things, right? Mindfulness, yoga, prayer, meditation, prompts, they're all great examples of slowing down. And I know many of you out there have these businesses already, and you probably have a lot to say to that. But you know, for the average person, it's not easy sometimes getting engaged with things where we're moving our bodies. And I think that speaks to the fact that our bodies really are part of our healing. When we feel stuck, our bodies feel stuck. When we're afraid of being with other people and being vulnerable with our bodies, that's because our bodies have something to help us with and to say. So we need a safe place to do these things. And luckily we have wonderful, wonderful groups in Culpeper where these things can happen, you know, Tai Chi, martial arts, all kinds of things, right? And being a part of where you are experiencing it with the safety of others, you can then do that for yourself when you're by yourself. And so we notice that our senses begin to open up. They guide us to what we really need. It might be passion, it might be movement, breathing, singing. We might be hungry, we might just need to drink water. We might need wisdom, encouragement, all these different things. They are resensitizing us to our bodies. They are allowing us to connect with what we need. And we're finding that our body becomes a friend again, you know, where it allows us to find that movement that we need, because sometimes we're ready to really grow. We have a lot of passion within us and we're ready to tap into that and we're ready to keep going. So we need to be able to know and trust ourselves and be able to trust that intuition. Now, I always say self-expression comes from your own body and is integrated with your mind and your spirit. What forms on the outside, especially through writing and studio art, it becomes an invitation to engage with the nonverbal components of your interior life. You know, so once again, this is that concept of implicit, that language that has not developed yet. It's not even up there in the verbal realm. You know, it's something that's just happening and forming, and it's kind of in the womb. You know, it's like, it's in the womb or the tomb. We don't know. It's implicit, it's becoming explicit, but we're just going to tune into that and honor it, you know, because life is happening and we are giving it our all every day. So we're honoring that. And with that comes this concept of awareness and reciprocity. I feel that when you really connect, when you really sit with yourself and honor yourself, it's a beautiful reciprocity. You're giving to yourself and that gives to others. It gives to yourself in new ways that you can give exponentially in ways that you didn't realize before, whether it's creating a business that serves your population, planning ahead for your family, all these different things. And I want you to look at this beautiful photo here. This was done at an expressive arts therapy workshop that I went to back in December. And I had the honor of working right next to this woman. And I love how she explored the blues. I love how she explored what was happening around her. I love how she explored her hair, you know, and her heart center. This is such a beautiful way of kind of connecting with the body. And I do all kinds of art things like this in my groups where we kind of come at it from all different directions. But the idea is to connect with yourself each day. Self-compassion is generous to all. And you have to remember the lens. You have to remember, how am I seeing the world right now? And how does that affect how I see myself? And should that be backwards? You know, should that be the opposite? How am I seeing myself right now? And how does that allow me to see the people around me? Especially the time right now where we're all kind of experiencing something totally new. And how do we connect with those natural rhythms and cycles that make us who we are? So your body and what's happening on the inside is definitely connected to the seasons. It's connected to what's happening around you. And as women, you know, we have our own cycles. So all these things help us to get to a place where we trust ourselves and we can connect with ourselves. This idea of receiving from the past and giving to the future, I want you to kind of remember that as a human body, you know, we are part of this process where our bodies remember things that happened before us just because we're coming from people that lived before us. And we're birthing people that are coming after us. And so there's so much power in taking time to do the work. You know, science keeps giving us more and more information about how our DNA continues to give forward. But more than that, it's our experiences every day that the people around us remember. And we're able to give generously into that future as well, because that shared experience is something that our children can embody, and the people that we work with can embody, and the people in our community can embody. And so I want you to remember as well that language needs room to form. That implicit language inside of you has so much to give as you start to formulate the words of what you need. You might need to tell the people around you what you need. It may be something that it's not just what you can do on your own. You may need to change some of the environment around you. And so you have to give yourself room for that to happen. And we become an active participant with resilient growth. This is what Jamie talked about the first week, and kindness and forgiveness, which is what we talked about a couple of weeks ago. The awareness becomes your internal compass. And the more you can tune into that, the better. And so I want to ask you, what is the season for you? Type it into Amy if you want to. Let's keep talking about it and encouraging each other. Is it a tomb or a womb? What are you feeling? How is that moving in you? And how does that connect with the other people around you so that we don't feel alone? I know we're on a tight time frame here and you guys are probably sick of Zoom. So I'm going to leave you with this. This is the reference of all the places where I have kind of addressed different things from different books. The Body Keeps the Score, Trauma Expressive Arts Therapy, all the pictures or things that I've experienced through my own experiences of life and places around here, Octavia Rahim and Valerie Kaur. And I put on here as well, you can download that free self-care tool with the tree. And I have a new course starting in July called Soulscapes, where we engage with the landscapes of our lives and how that affects our heart and our soul. And it's very doable for busy women. So if you're interested at all in that, you can check the website and learn more. All right, Amy, what do they have to say? Any questions? Do you guys have any questions for me? Anything I can answer?
Yes, please. So I put in a comment about how I don't check my email.
I can't hear you, Amy.
I put in a comment on how I don't check my email on the weekends, and that is the time for my family, and that's my way of resting so that I can be awake on Monday and I feel restored and I feel energized and I'm excited to get to work and see what emails and see what's happening in Culpeper. So that's something that I get. And we have a comment from Ashley. Thank you so much, Sara. You are always so inspirational.
Oh, thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Ashley. Yeah, I think that is such a great reminder to not check your email. The things that we shut off from are also the things that give us room to hear, right? And when you give yourself that chance, you really can rise into the things that are important to you, especially when you're serving others and you're giving out so much.
Well, if anyone has any other questions, please put them into the chat, or if you have a comment for Sara. And thank you, Sara, so much for today's presentation. This has been wonderful. And then I did also want to take a moment to thank our Rappahannock Electric Cooperative, as well as the Women's Lift Series sponsors, Novant Health UVA Health System, Culpeper Medical Center, Wellspring Health Services, Culpeper Star Exponent, Thrivent, and Partners First Federal Credit Union for making these series possible. We have really enjoyed them the past 5 weeks now, and we hope that you have enjoyed them. Thank you all for being a part of this today, and we look forward to hopefully seeing you next week, Thursday at noon. That's going to be June 25th, and our last session in the series is going to be presented by the Women's Lift event chair, Miss Gwendolyn Steele. So it's going to be a great one, and I hope you all have a great week. Thank you again, Sara.
Thank you, everyone.